California Democratic Congressman Khanna. So, Congressman, I think everybody understands the Democrat strategy to hold the vote on these voting rights bills. The issue's important. Democrats united. Even if you lose 50-50, you have that vote. But what purpose does it serve to then do the rules change vote that you know will fail?
Garrett, we're making every effort. Yesterday, John Sarbanes was talking about having us contact our home state senators. We're still trying with every argument to convince the senators to vote for the rule change to uphold the fundamental right to vote. If it doesn't succeed, then we will go on. But I'll tell you this, our odds are better than the odds that John Lewis or Dr. King faced when they were fighting for change.
I hear that, but Congressman, I mean, your home state senator is not going to vote against the rule change. I mean, you've got Manchin and Sinema who are very dug in on this, and I guess I just struggle to understand what isolating them with another vote will do when you need them on everything else the Senate might want to pass of President Biden's agenda.
Look, I have a very good relationship with Senator Manchin. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think he can be a consensus builder, certainly on Build Back Better and seeing where we go there. And he may even have a consensus opinion on how we move forward with the Voting Rights Act. But we need to have a robust debate on the Senate floor and make our best case for why it justifies a change in the filibuster, protect fundamental rights. I don't think that's offensive to the other senators. Isn't that what the Senate is supposed to be about? It's monumental legislation. Let's debate it. Let's have people state their positions and let's vote. And if it fails, then let's see what plan B is. But we have to give it everything we have.
These votes are going to get second-guessed more than the Cowboys play calling last night. I just have to put that out there. Look, I'm curious in the spirit of looking back at history here. I mean, you mentioned John Sarbanes, right? This all started with the For the People Act in the last Congress. As we transitioned to this Congress, we knew the Senate was going to be 50-50. You probably weren't going to have the votes to change the rules. If you could do it all over again, would you have changed how Democrats approach these voting rights bills, maybe tried to build something from the middle out rather than take that bill from the last Congress and build upon that going into this debate now?
I just have to say how proud I am of my 49ers since you had the Cowboys.
I bet you do.
But look, I think what we should have done is articulated the case for why voting rights matters earlier. Perhaps we shouldn't have had all of the other provisions on gerrymandering and campaign finance. By the way, I love those provisions, but made it about the fact that we shouldn't be depriving people in certain communities of ballot boxes. We shouldn't be kicking people off the voting registration list. We shouldn't be denying people the chance to vote early, and we shouldn't allow Republican legislatures to kick off or it has harsh penalties against local board of election individuals. I think those provisions are fairly uncontroversial because most Americans believe that everyone has to have the right to vote. And if we came around and made the case about that, I think maybe we would have had a better chance of building a broader consensus.
I hate to ask you to negotiate against yourself, but if you look across at the Senate side where this, moderate bipartisan group is starting to talk about changing the Electoral Count Act, maybe some other changes on the margins, do you think that's something that House Democrats could eventually get behind if that's what can get done?
Absolutely. We have to do that. That's supplemental to what we're doing with the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act is to make sure everyone can vote. The Electoral Count Act that Senator King, Klobuchar, Durbin are doing is to make sure that once we vote, Republican state legislatures or any state legislature can overturn that vote. Here's the dilemma with that, though. Senator McConnell says that he's open to that. What happens if we can't get 60 votes on that? Are they willing to then look at a carve-out for that? I mean, shouldn't everyone agree that if, for example, Arizona votes 52% for a candidate to 48% for the other candidate, the state legislature shouldn't be able to send an alternative slate? Well, what happens if we can't get 60 senators to vote to agree even on that?
It's hugely problematic. I want to play for you something that Senator Mitt Romney said on Meet the Press yesterday. Ask you about a question on the other side. Take a listen.
He's got to recognize that when he was elected, people were not looking for him to transform America. They were looking to get back to normal, to stop the crazy. And it seems like we're continuing to see the kinds of policy and promotions that are not accepted by the American people.
The he there, of course, is President Biden. Do you agree with any of that from Mitt Romney, that perhaps President Biden miscalculated what his governing coalition and what his voters wanted from him?
No, with due respect, it's why Mitt Romney lost his presidential election. He doesn't understand that there's anger in this country with deindustrialization, that there's anger with hedge fund buyouts, that there's anger with the offshoring of jobs, and that to defeat Trumpism, to return the country to normal, you needed an agenda. You need an agenda that brings jobs, brings prosperity, brings manufacturing back to areas that have been left out, and that speaks to people's economic dislocation. So what President Biden is doing is ultimately trying to defeat Trumpism, not just dealing with the symptom of Trump, but the underlying economic conditions that may have given rise to Trump.
We will talk more about the challenges of Trumpism later in this broadcast. Congressman Khanna, thank you. Congratulations to your 49ers. It pains me to say so, but thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Garrett. Have a good one.